Gupta? Mm-hmm. 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 The Queen is coming to the Swamp podcast.
I think I would die on the spot if Julie Andrews ever, like, reached out and was like, hey, I love your podcast.
I would be willing to bet that Julie Andrews has never been on a podcast. Like, that is just below her. That's just simply beneath her.
Julie Andrews has never heard of a podcast. She doesn't know what a podcast is.
We would really have to sell some serious fucking tote bags on our website in order to we'd have to start a GoFundMe to raise $8.3 billion to book Julie Andrews for our hour-long podcast.
I don't know, guys. Do you think we can do it?
Or we could just do a GoFundMe and it'll be like, get the Queen, and then as soon as we raise enough money to get any sort of queen, fictional or otherwise, then maybe.
If I was gonna get a queen on this, I'd want the Queen's Gambit. I'd want Anya Taylor-Joy on this.
The Queen's Gambit. But it's just the chess piece. They're like, she couldn't make it, but like, you can just talk to this fictional chess piece about their time on the show. But if you didn't get our pretty niche reference today, we're going to be talking about the Princess Diaries. Oh my god. This movie is just too good. Do you have, like, does this movie have a special place in your heart like it does mine?
Yes, 110%. This was probably one of, if not my favorite Disney was this a Disney original?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus. That's how I watched it. So
same.
I don't know if it was a Disney Channel original movie, but it's Disney oriented.
Yeah, no. This was probably my favorite Disney movie growing up as a child. It was always one of those ones where, like, oh, like, you're watching Disney Channel and, like, later on that day, like, the Princess Diaries you see is coming up and you're, like, marking it down.
8/7 Central.
Exactly. And I'm like, what's 7 Central mean? Because I'm, like, 7 years old. I'm like, what time is it on exactly?
But 1 and 2 for me. The second one, just as big as the first.
I think
To me.
I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think I prefer the second one, honestly. Like,
I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people would agree. I think because this one did so well that I believe the budget went up exponentially for the second one, so they were able to put a lot more, like, money and time and stuff into it. And also Chris Pine.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I just feel like I had a lot more of a memory of the second one. I think I've just probably seen it more, but, like, this one, I definitely seen it a ton, but, like, it got to a point where, like, once she decides she's not gonna be queen, I was like, what, or princess, I was like, what's gonna happen? I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, there was a big chunk in the middle of this movie that I, like, kind of did not remember happening, like, when the press is chasing after her, and the beach party, and the love interest with the blonde boy, like, that whole bit, I was kind of like, huh, like, I do recall this happening, but I could not have summarized this for you without having watched it, beforehand.
Yeah.
I would hit the major beats, but not the little in-between bits.
It felt a lot longer, too, this time when I was watching it than it did as a kid. Like, it's like a solid, like, 2 hours flat. And it flew by when I was a child.
No, I sat down to watch it and I was fully ready for, like, a 90-minute movie. I was like, oh, great. I'm gonna bang this out, like, real quick. And then I was like, oh no, this is, like, actually, like, I'm gonna sit down and watch this for a good 2 hours.
I took a nap in the middle of it. I paused it. I had, like, 40 minutes left. I was like, I gotta close my eyes and recharge for the rest of this movie.
I simply must rally. I'm just really getting drained by Anne Hathaway's struggles to whether she is or isn't gonna be princess.
I was drained at just the tomfoolery, the buffoonery, the ridiculousness of Mia Thermopolis. I love her, and I love her character, but this girl, like, she wasn't lying when she was like, yeah, I'm not good at anything.
And that includes, like, basic human interaction. That simply existing.
That is more understandable. I can get that, but it was like, I don't want to say it was, like, the baseball scene or anything like that, but it was, like, that scene where she literally throws the ball at the back of her teacher's head. I was like, Mia, sweetie, come on.
Well, if you don't know, this is the Swamp. The Swamp is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
My name is Dara, and as always, I'm here with my lovely co-host, my lovely and sleepy co-host today, my emotionally, physically,
Drained.
and spiritually drained co-host, but I don't blame you for it.
Emily. My name's Emily.
Oh, Emily, yes. And,
just a sleepy co-host. That's
yeah, just... So I introduce you to people, like, oh yeah, that's my sleepy co-host. We're just, like, at the grocery store. But today we're talking about the Princess Diaries, and we decided to do this for our themed month, which is Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girlboss. Mm-hmm. And I would say this might be our biggest stretch yet, but I do think it hits all three. I will say.
I think our biggest hit on that board is the girl boss part.
Yes.
Like, Julie Andrews in this is very girl boss. Yeah, Mia absolutely. Ends up kind of getting to girl boss.
It's like girl boss training. She goes to girl boss school.
Mm-hmm.
Girl boss in the making. But I would also
girl
say
bossification.
But I would say it's also pretty gaslighty that they don't tell her that her dad was royalty until she was fully 15 years old. Like all of a sudden Julie Andrews shows up and it's like, oh yeah, you're royalty and also you're gonna need to get on this shit stat. And she's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, that's a little gaslighty.
I'd say it's very gatekeep too. Gatekeep your royalty from the heir to the throne.
Right. I would also say she like lies to her friend a lot. I mean, we can get into it more, but like she like is really not good at relaying personal information to those she... Did you or did you not own this soundtrack on CD?
I don't think I did, actually, but I did take notes, and I was like, this is a banger of a soundtrack. Yes. Disney always...
1 and 2.
Always came out with the best soundtracks. I'll give them that.
Yeah, no, Princess Diaries 1 and 2, I for sure had the CDs, and I definitely played them on my, like, Bratz Rock Angels CD player. Like, absolutely... Like, as soon as this movie started, I was like, oh... Instant, like, triggered all the childhood memories.
You knew all the words to all of the songs.
Songs I had not heard in over a decade, and I was, just jamming out by myself in my living room. Uh-huh. But, so do we want to get into a little bit of a recap?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen The Princess Diaries, it's like, what, like, early, is it 2005?
2001, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Super early Disney movie.
Definitely, like, of the Disney Channel original movie vibe.
Yeah. But I don't know if, like, they were, like, really making, like branding them as Disney Channel original movies. Like, yeah.
I can fully, like, when I was watching this movie, I could cut out the clips of what they used in the trailers. Like, on, when Disney Channel would be like, Princess Diaries playing at 8/7 Central, like the one of the comb breaking in her hair, the one of the two pictures reveal, like, there's just like one particularly like goofy face she makes at one point that I was like, they used that one. Like, there were just a few key moments that I was like, oh, that absolutely was used in promotional material because I saw it 8 trillion times as a kid.
Yeah.
But the Princess Diaries, it was a book series actually to start with. It was a young adult book series. And then it got kind of written and adapted into this movie. I think it's, I don't know how true to the books it is, but I'm pretty sure it's like relatively comparable. I don't know too much about it, but I guess they found these books and they pitched it to Disney and immediately they were like, yes, great, exactly our brand. So they totally went with it. Anne Hathaway plays Mia Thermopolis. I guess she got this role because she fell out of her chair during her audition. And they're like, oh, she's so quirky. That's so cute. Like, let's make that, like, the thing. Like, she's gonna be so right for this, like, quirky, clumsy girl role. So they gave it to her. And I think this was maybe one of, like, the first kind of bigger things she had been in. She'd been in a couple, like, smaller roles in TV and stuff, but I know this really is what kicked off her career because after this, she did Ella Enchanted, like, pretty shortly after, and Princess Diaries 2. And that definitely rolled her into that sort of, like, young adult kid-friendly movie, you know, which obviously turned into a blossoming career. We love Anne Hathaway in this house.
I think this will probably be like, I think we said this about one other actor recently, but I think doing this one now, she's probably one of our most done actors in, like, for the podcast, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because what we've done,
Les
The Devil
Mis
Wears Prada and Les Mis. Yeah, which are definitely two of her big ones. I know in our Devil Wears Prada episode, we talked a lot about how, like, the industry has kind of, like, turned, like, a lot of her like, people in the industry seem to hate Anne Hathaway, but it's just because she's, like, really good at her job. Like, nobody ever has any substantial evidence as to why they don't like her. They're like, oh, she's just too pretty and nice and talented and considerate and, like, I don't know.
No, we stand Annie Hathaway on this podcast.
But I do think she is absolutely perfect for this role. But so she plays a 15-year-old girl in high school named Mia Thermopolis, who is actually a princess of a country that does not exist called Genovia.
I wish.
I thought it was so bold of them to just make up a whole new fucking country.
I love that for them, though.
I think it is the actual, like, exact right thing to do, because if they're like, oh, France, or, like, I don't know, some other, or, like, wherever monarchies still exist, I guess, like England, I guess if they're like, oh, you're, like, the princess of Wales, or something like that, then I think there would have been, like, a lot more cultural implications and, like, actual facts and stuff they would have to abide by. But if they're like, no, let's just make up some fucking European principality that does not fucking exist, we can do whatever the fuck we want with it. And I thought it was so good. They're like, yeah, we're all really into pears.
Yes, right. All the food was green, everything was green. I loved it. Yeah, they took a lot of liberties there. I thought that was a great idea.
But so Julie, I believe that's the situation in the books too, is it's just like a country that straight up does not exist. But Julie Andrews rolls up and is like, yo, I'm your grandma and I'm the queen. And your dad, who died literally 2 months ago, but has never been in your life, he needs you to be the princess now because he was the prince. And Mia is like, who, me? Corky, clumsy, bushy eyebrows, bad at sports.
I could
Simply could not be me. Simply could not be me, Grandma Julie Andrews. And she's like, no worries, sis. We're gonna have you do princess school. And so they, like, teach her how to walk straight and have good posture.
Yeah. They comb her hair.
Yeah, right. They give her a makeover, which is really just, like, what she actually, like, they just made her have bushy eyebrows and frizzy hair.
This is like when Jennifer's Body, like, took notes from, like, the Princess Diaries, which is to find, like, someone that's, like, so Hollywood hot, and then just be like, oh,
like,
we'll give them...
She has glasses.
Yes, she has glasses, she's clumsy, and she has, like, frizzy hair. So she's ugly.
The early 2000s did, like, curly / frizzy hair so dirty. I feel like as a straight hair haver, I can't speak from personal experience, but I know, like, a lot of my friends in, like, early elementary school who had curly or frizzy hair, like, absolutely hated it, wanted everything to do to, like, flatten their hair. I know definitely when we were in, like, middle school and stuff, like, a lot of girls would wake up at fucking 3 a.m. to, like, flat iron the shit out of their curly hair. And I fully blame that on, like, the early 2000s creating this weird stigma that, like, people with curly or frizzy hair, like, that's the before. And, like, you have to have straight hair for it to be the after. It's so fucked. It was, like, always, like, Hermione and, like, here in this movie, just all the time it was like, oh, she's weird. She's a weird girl. She has curly hair.
Yeah.
What the fuck was up with that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this movie
It's propaganda.
is an offender.
I'm gonna call this propaganda.
Anti-curly hair propaganda that I do think affected a lot of young girls in the early 2000s. So, not cool. Especially, after they do her after part of the makeup, and you just realize she's a fucking 10. And you're like, like, as if you could even attempt to make her look ugly in the before part. Like, they do an up-close shot of her face, and they had literally just, like, Crayolaed on eyebrows, like, around her actual eyebrows. They're like, oh, your eyebrows are so thick. And I'm like, that is straight up just...
Marker. Marker on her face.
And they're like, I don't know, breathe out of your mouth a lot. That's just gonna make you look not cute.
Yeah, never close your mouth. Always have a slack jaw.
That face a lot. Just, like, they're like, make your teeth big and prominent and just, like, stick out your tongue a little bit to, like, just look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But they gave her a big makeover. They're like, you're the princess now. And she's like, I'm not so sure about that. And they're like, well, you can decide. They're like, you can have until the ball. So there's, like, there's a deadline. You know, there's, like, a bit of an ultimatum here. And so she, like, does all these princess lessons, but for some reason she, like, doesn't tell her best friend, even though now they're all getting chauffeured around in, like, a beautiful car with a private driver. And then her best friend's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're acting like a fucking cunt. And she's like, I can't tell you. But, like, did she sign an NDA?
Not that I saw.
Did Mia fucking sign an NDA saying she wasn't allowed to tell anyone about this? But then all of a sudden at school, everyone's like, oh my god, you're hot and rich now. Like, let's stop treating you like shit, I guess. So now she's like, not necessarily popular, but not a weird person anymore.
It eventually comes out that she is the princess, and then people start treating her differently.
Yeah. Well, the media, so the guy who gave her the makeover leaks it to the press, and then the press keeps showing up at their school, and that's when Sandra Oh, who plays fucking Vice Principal Gupta, icon queen Sandra Oh, and she's like, the queen is coming to Grove High School.
Love it.
So good.
One of her best, honestly.
She can do no wrong. But what else? So then the press comes, everything gets out, she's really stressed about it, her friends are mad at her, and then she's like, I'm a princess. And then she blows all of them off to go to a beach party where the press show up and take photos of her while she's changing, which is definitely illegal because she's 15.
I think that's illegal even if you're 18.
yeah, right. And then Julie Andrews is like, you're an embarrassment, you cannot be the princess. And she's like, you're absolutely right. This is not for me. But then
Julie Andrews
Joe,
oh my god.
Yeah, Joe the bodyguard is like, she's a fucking child. Can you cut her some goddamn slack? And Julie Andrews is like, you're actually right. So she's like, you can be the princess if you want, like, balls in your court.
Don't get me started on Joe. We'll have a whole segment just about Joe, but anyways.
Possibly one of the best male characters ever in all of cinema history.
He's a man written by women, you know?
Yeah. I do believe this movie, so the books are written by women, and I think this movie is co-directed and written by a woman. I know, so actually, like, a funny connection, I texted you this because I was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, you were.
Because I was doing a little IMDb surfing earlier, and Gary Marshall directed this movie, right? And so I was like, okay, Gary Marshall, what else has he done? He directed Pretty Woman, like a lot of other, I don't know, famous stuff, pretty famous director. And then I saw that he played the Harvey Bars guy from A League of Their Own, which was our movie from last week. And I was like, that's so weird. I was like, what a fucking coincidence that the guy who directed this movie was like, had a really minor role in the movie we covered literally last week. Like, that's so weird. And then I was like, I'm so fucking stupid. His sister is Penny Marshall, who directed A League of Their Own. So Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall are fucking siblings. They're both famous Hollywood directors.
Still
which
neat.
like obviously that checks out. Yeah, but like weird connection to our movie from last week, I guess. But that just like, it took me a little too long to put the pieces together. And it, like, unfolded through a series of text messages to you. I was like, Emily, this is so weird.
Yeah,
I was like, we live in a simulation.
This was when I was in the middle of my nap. You texted this to me. But anyways.
But then what? So
Julie Andrews decides she's not a disappointment. She's like, okay, I kind of love my granddaughter.
Like, you can be the princess if you want. Like, you just decide, take a minute, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna run away. Well, does anything happen? I mean, she's like, her friends are mad at her. The boy she has a crush on is mad at her. Everything is just not really working out. So she's literally, I think she turns 16 because she has her car, her license. So she's 16 and she fully like takes her cat and starts packing up her bags and she's like, I'm running away. I'm like, bitch, where?
Colorado. So
where are you?
She said she's going to Colorado, which I think was a great idea. She's like, yeah.
How? Also, you are fully royalty. You don't think the fucking Secret Service is gonna just find your ass?
Joe was already on her from the jump. I remember it was like a whole thing of, she told her grandma that like her mom was gonna drive her, and then her mom showed up, and immediately Joe was like,
I'm on
she's gonna run.
But she tries to run away, and then her car breaks down in the rain, and then she has a moment where she's really sad, and Joe's like, come on. Then she shows up to the ball, and then she's like, I will be the princess, and she gives a really heartwarming speech about how she's really selfish, and how she's only been thinking about herself, but she needs to start thinking about her subjects, because she's the fucking princess. And then the movie ends. Did I get everything?
Yeah, I think you got, pretty much all the big plot line. I got chills this time around listening to her speech. Genuinely, I got goosebumps.
I also did get a little emotional.
Right?
Watch around. I was like, damn, this is a moving film, and I think it certainly has its problems. And I wouldn't say it's the ideal like role model movie for young people because I don't know, it's the whole royalty aspect of it and like aspiring towards like fulfilling positions of power like that is like, I don't know, and the whole thing about how like people treating her different and how she reacts to it. But I do think like so many things that happen in this movie, I think like do it right. I don't know. Like, yeah, her like owning up to her responsibility and realizing like that the way she's treating people isn't quite the best. I really like a lot of the interaction she has with her friend Lily because a lot of it's like, hey, you're being a dick. Yeah, I am. Let's talk about it. Whereas like I think a lot of like teen movies or like young adult movies like don't deal with that aspect of like friendship. If they have a fight, it's usually over something really superficial. And it's like, oh, we had a fight. But this is like actually some kind of like serious shit that they were, and I think the Lily character is really highly debated and disliked amongst Princess Diaries discourse. And I'm not gonna call myself a Lily apologist because I see where she is being a bad friend. Yes. But I think Mia's being a fucking bad friend too, and I think that
anyone is in the right here. But also no one's in the wrong. It's one of those sort of gray areas where it's like, but you also like, they're teenagers.
But I liked that they had that conversation where they were like, hey, like, you're being a fucking piece of shit. And then while Lily is just fucking sinking straight baskets.
I love it.
I could not believe. That was a detail that I did not remember from this as a kid, where they're having a fight and she's just sinking 3-pointers the whole time. And I'm like, girl, call the press. Where's the fucking WNBA? Like, Lily is out here just absolutely killing the game.
Her mind's elsewhere, too. And she's like, nothing but net.
Kobe.
No, but I totally agree with you. I really liked that scene because honestly, like, I'll have arguments with people and I won't even like be able to like talk that like directly to someone, you know what I mean? And
they're supposed to be 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think a really easy route this movie could have taken would be to have Lily be upset about Mia's like romantic feelings towards her older brother, which I think that really could have easily been like oh my god, now that you're hot and popular, the guy you're gonna go after is like my brother. Like I could really easily see that being the thing that kind of like drives a wedge in their friendship. And I'm really glad it's not.
Yeah.
Because like she just did, neither of them strike me as that kind of character, and neither does the boy. Yeah. I don't know, we can kind of talk about how we feel about the romantic subplot of this movie, but I did think that was a good example for people to be like, yeah, like call your friends out when they're being dicks and just have a conversation about it. Like you don't have to give somebody the cold shoulder or ignore them. Just like call your friends out when they're shitty to you. If somebody blows you off, if somebody says they're gonna be on your cable TV show and then they go to a beach party instead, they're supposedly your best friend, be like, hey, what was up with that, man? Not cool. That was something I think that this movie did really right. I do think there are certainly places where it didn't get it right. I don't know if a lot of young girls are like forming their entire personality based off of the Princess Diaries, but I think I am. As an adult watching this, I'm like, oh my god.
You're like rethinking your actions. You're like, shit, I gotta be more upfront with the people that are around me.
All right, nice. So we're here with Jen for our little interim segment. For those who don't know, Jen is my mom. We usually take a little halftime break during the pod to do your segment that you host that everyone loves called Chocolate or Vanilla. It's a little game. You host it. You give us 2 options. We just say which one we like better. So is there a theme this week?
Hi, there's definitely a theme. All right, so I was inspired because I feel like summer is over and fall is starting. Yes. So it's things that remind me of summer versus things that remind me of fall.
Ooh, okay.
I like this.
Yeah, we're in that transitional period where like you can get a pumpkin spice latte at any coffee place, but it is still 85 degrees outside. So I'm like, I want this to be hot coffee. I want to have a fucking piece of, I don't know, pastry in my hand. I want to be wearing a sweater, but it's just, I'm sweating. It's just not
I'm like
right.
wearing shorts, drinking like a pumpkin ice latte. You're like, this isn't quite where I want it to be yet.
Yeah.
But
I keep thinking of like foods I want to make for fall, but I'm like, October 27th. I'm like, I gotta plan them far enough out where I'll get that nice brisk chill.
Chili and soup and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Speaking of foods, before we start, so you know how you do your segment, like what should we eat, what should we drink?
Yes.
So not based on the movie, but based on my chocolate or vanilla, I had a pumpkin beer with like a cinnamon sugar rim. Yeah.
Ooh.
Jen, I've got a pumpkin beer in the fridge for after this so I can do that exact same thing.
You wet the rim and then you dip it upside down. Yeah. And then we had coconut shrimp with I made orange dipping sauce.
So that's very summer.
Oh.
I said coconut shrimp is so summer and your drink was so fall. So you're living your truth.
I love this.
You're living your brand, Jen.
Wow.
Branding queen, chocolate or vanilla host Jen. Out here just living the experience.
Oh. All right. On that, I'll start. Okay. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. S'mores or apple crisp?
Apple crisp. I love a fucking apple-based dessert.
Yeah, I can eat a lot of apple crisp. I can eat maybe one s'more, and that's it. True. And also, I have to really not work for a s'more, but there's a little more effort with a s'more. Mm-hmm. Apple crisp for sure.
Yeah, apple crisp for me too. My sister, when she makes s'mores, uses different candy bars other than a Hershey's.
Too much, like a Reese's. Yeah. You're already getting so much sugar with the marshmallow. You keep it. Don't fuck with something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know. I get the enthusiasm, but
yeah, I love apple crisp. All right, ice cream in a cone with sprinkles or a pumpkin donut.
Ooh, okay, can we change it to apple cider donut?
I thought you were going to say that. I was almost going to put apple cider donut.
Because I would say pumpkin donut is much less of a event for me. When the local, as a person who lives in New England with a lot of, orchards and apple orchards and stuff like that, once they roll out the fresh apple cider donuts and you get to fucking go and watch them make them and get them hot, oh my god, that it's it's fall. It's fucking fall. So I'll go with donut.
Yeah, this is really hard for me as a person that was wedded to my ice cream stand for 4 years. In a native New Englander. You're really tearing me in two pieces here, Jen. But
plus yours was ice cream on the lake too.
Yeah, it was very, very summer. But no, I think I'm gonna have to stick with ice cream on this one. I love an apple cider donut. But I don't know, something about the ice cream. I can have it whenever. So apple cider donuts feel very you have to have it in the fall.
I do agree when it's fucking hot outside and you get a nice soft serve. It's just getting to eat something that's 0 degrees when it's 100 degrees outside. It's just feels nice. Yeah.
And you have to hurry up before it drips down your arm.
I always like the soft serves that they dip. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those ones are always my favorite. But anyways.
I will go with the apple cider donut too. Iced coffee or hot coffee?
I gotta go with iced coffee. I do really like hot coffee. I drink both, I would say just about equally, but I'm more of a, if I'm at home drinking coffee, it's hot because I can, brew a pot and have it continuously, but when I'm on the go, when I'm out and about, I want it iced so I can, be more mobile about it. I don't really know. So, iced.
I'm definitely...
Also, flavors. I like more flavors in my iced coffee, whereas hot coffee, I just want, plain black. But, iced coffee, I'm 17 pumps of caramel, 43 pumps of chocolate, pumpkin spice, mocha swirl.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I gotta agree with you there. I like iced a lot better because I can drink an iced coffee immediately when, if I get a hot coffee... There's that period of it's too hot and I have to wait 10 to 15 minutes for that window of when it's perfect. And then if I miss 5 minutes of that window,
it's lukewarm.
Then it's lukewarm and I can't do it. So iced coffee for sure.
Okay. I will go hot coffee. I don't like iced coffee. I wish I did.
Jen will straight up drink a hot coffee on the hottest day of the year. Like, we'll go out for breakfast or something, we'll go grab coffees, and like it'll be 103 degrees outside, and she's like, yes, I'll have a large dark roast hot. Like, I cannot believe.
I don't know why I don't like iced coffee. I like coffee ice cream too.
Oh, I love coffee ice cream.
All right, next one, and like think of like the colors. So I'm gonna say white sands with a blue beach, or the colors of autumn leaves.
Definitely autumn colors. It's just that's like one of the most appealing things about fall is like the natural changes you get. I also just think it's such an aesthetically pleasing, like warm tones, reds, oranges, browns. It's just nice.
No, I 100% agree. I was driving like down 84 today, and there was leaves that were already changing, and
Already?
I audibly gasped. Yeah,
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you. Just the fall tones.
I love it when the trees like make a tunnel over you and you're driving like under it. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go autumn leaves too. Or when you can see the autumn leaves like in a lake and you can see them like up and down. Yeah. Baseball or football?
Ugh.
I knew I knew you were gonna say neither.
I guess so. Like, this is strictly, I think, just based off of like American culture. With football, is usually like there's food. Nobody brings fucking buffalo chicken dip to a baseball game, but football, people are like, oh, like let's make wings or like let's order wings because it's football. I don't know.
Yeah, football snacks are way better than baseball
simply for
snacks.
the culinary aspect alone. I will choose football.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. I've been to a couple of baseball games recently, which is a blast. But I'll also find myself spending $50 in the stadium on food alone. So football and like a good football tailgate and stuff like that is certainly superior.
Yeah, I'm gonna say football also. Polka dots or plaid?
I guess plaid. Because I feel like I associate it with being like flannel material, which is just like warm and cozy. Yeah, I guess plaids. Polka dots can be a real problem really easily, whereas I think plaids is the everyman's pattern.
Yeah.
So simply for accessibility, I will say plaid.
Yeah, I'm totally on that same wave with you, plaid, for sure.
I knew you were going to say plaid. You wear plaid a lot. I will also say plaid. Next one is the MTV VMA Awards or the Oscars.
Those are actually tonight. The MTV, as we're recording this, they're on right now as we speak, I believe. What was my second option? The VMAs or what?
The
The Oscars.
Oh, obviously the Oscars. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a sham, but the Oscars.
Yeah, Oscars for me too. Flip-flops or Doc Martens?
And Doc Martens.
Yeah, Doc.
Yeah, Docs too. I knew you guys were going to say that too.
People who wear flip-flops out of the context of like the lake or the beach or something, like I get it if it's summer and you're like doing something that involves you like going in water or something, that's fine. But people who like, if you're like at a restaurant wearing flip-flops, I just don't know about that.
Yeah, you'll never catch me dead in a flip-flop. I won't even never. I'll wear Tevas instead of flip-flops.
A sandal.
Exactly.
A sensible sandal. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Docs for sure. Next one is Bachelor in Paradise or Bachelor?
Oh my god. I will say Bachelor in Paradise because they just have a little bit more fun and they like allow them to get a little more drunk, so there's usually more drama. And I like that they all can kind of like intertwangle and like, I don't know. The culture on The Bachelor or Bachelorette is very like toxic and weird, whereas I feel, not to say it's not on Bachelor in Paradise, but it's a little more relaxed and you get to see more of the people's actual personalities, whereas they all talk like they're fucking robots on The Bachelor. They're like, I'm here for the right reasons and I'm being vulnerable, which is like, what the fuck? Whereas on Bachelor in Paradise, they're like, oh yeah, I have 3 brothers and I like to swim. I don't know. They talk about their hobbies.
So I don't watch either of these shows, but
Good for you.
But Alyssa watches them, and I think she enjoys Bachelor in Paradise more for the reasons that you said, Dara. So I'm gonna say Bachelor in Paradise.
Yep, I will also say Bachelor in Paradise. Watermelon or apples?
I'm gonna say apples because I just think like more diverse. Like I would order like an apple spice coffee or an apple pastry, apple whatever. Whereas I feel like I really only ever consume watermelon in the context of eating actual watermelon. Maybe a cocktail, but I don't really get like watermelon flavored things a lot. So I feel like apple, I just like, it exists more in my reality of foods, so I'll say apple, I guess.
Yeah.
Down by Fenway, they have a beer where they put a whole piece of watermelon in it.
Yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I've seen they do like they have like those shandy beers or whatever, and they'll have like lemon ones and like watermelon ones, and that it was never good. But anyways, yeah, I'm a diehard apple girl, so I'm gonna go for apple.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Apples for sure. What's your favorite kind of apple?
Granny Smith, hands down.
Really?
Ooh, what a great choice.
Good choice. I'm a Red Delicious girl. I like Red Delicious.
Wow,
that's controversial.
Yeah, you're in the minority. Yeah, a lot of people really hate Red Delicious.
Oh, wow.
I think they get really mealy really quick. Like the window for a Red Delicious apple to be good is like 20 minutes.
I would say that about a I would say that about a Macintosh. Those are always the ones that I feel like are mealy. This is my last one. Going to amusement park or going apple picking?
I guess I'll say apple picking because it's probably a little cheaper. Plus, you get to like take apples home, and that's always fun to like take all the apples home and be like, oh my god, what am I gonna do with all these apples? So, oh my god, I'm gonna make a pie. I'm gonna make a crisp. I don't know. We have a gallon and a half of fucking apple cider in our fridge right now, and it's wild.
Dude, make hot apple cider whiskey. Or like
Henry did that literally mulled cider. Yep. He put spiced rum and he put it over the stovetop with like a bunch of like spices, like nutmeg and shit. So hot. It smelled so fucking good. I'm a little weird about warm alcohol, but it's not really nice.
Really good. But yeah, I'm also gonna pick apple picking. I get really motion sick, so I hate amusement parks.
You do?
Yeah. Yep. Can't do it.
That's funny because I was gonna say amusement park. I love going to amusement parks. And that's all of them. So I think we picked more fall things than summer things as things we like. Yeah.
I would say I would also, if you told me to pick between the two seasons, summer or fall, I just simply would pick fall.
Yeah.
True. Just I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like to sweat.
Yeah. Right. But I do feel like fall lasts all of like 10 days. It's like 85 degrees and disgusting. And then it's like quote unquote fall where it's like that nice brisk, you can wear just a turtleneck, but no jacket kind of weather. And then all of a sudden it's like freezing, snowing, disgusting New England. Yep. So really looking forward to those 10 days of fall coming up.
Yeah, no, this is a good one, Jen. I really like this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As always, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.
Love you too.
Okay, have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll have to post, I forgot, I'll do it after we finish this, but I'll post on the Instagram for last week.
I always fucking forget.
Yeah. I don't think they're really...
Yeah, nobody really cares. But speaking of, keep your ears and eyes, I guess, I don't know, be on the lookout for this upcoming weekend. We try to post our chocolate or vanilla polls on our Instagram if you'd like to decide which fall or summer things that you prefer. We love seeing the results. Jen doesn't have Instagram, but I like manually screenshot and send her all of everyone's answers, and she absolutely lives for it. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So back to Princess Diaries. Do we want to get a little bit into this romantic subplot? I know we had kind of danced around it before.
Here's my thing is, this plot doesn't do anything for me. The plot that does do something for me is Joe and the Queen.
Yeah, that is the romantic subplot that I am here for.
But like,
when he says, you've been wearing black for too long, and they exchange that look, and then they slow dance together. Are you kidding me? Nobody has ever been more suave, smooth, or charming.
That man has game.
And I know it develops a little more in the second movie, and I will say the second movie is a little more rewarding as far as the, like, romance, because I'm definitely here for the, like, enemies to lovers, Anne Hathaway, Chris Pine moment. I'm sure we'll do Princess Diaries 2 at some point, because that movie is just, like, just as good as this one. But yeah, I think movie 2 has a bit more payoff in that regard, whereas I think movie 1 just is kind of like setting some things up. I agree that it doesn't really do too much for me. Having him be her, like, friend's older brother was kind of like a dynamic that never was, like, really explained or explored, but it kind of just, like, was an excuse for him to be around.
I don't know.
I
It didn't
guess-
do anything for me as a thing, and they didn't really develop it very much at all. Like, you could tell that he likes her, and like she maybe kind of liked him, but like that it was very much like on the back burner for 90% of the movie, and in like the last 10 minutes, they were like, "Hey, let's
They
pull out the
could've-
big guns."
Yeah, right. They could have gone completely without it, and I don't think the movie would have changed. I think the only thing it truly does is establish the foot pop, which really comes to its big peak in movie 2. So it like sets up a nice little seed that we get blossomed into a wonderfully nice romantic moment for movie 2. So I think that's really all it did for me there. I will say I think it was kind of underutilized if they wanted to do more than this, because Jason Schwartzman's little brother is a little fucking cutie.
Right.
He does have very greasy hair, but to be fair, every boy in this movie has wet hair, not on purpose. Like, the early 2000s, they're like, what is a cute boy? So it does not shower. No. Simply wet to the appearance.
They made him look so much like a beetle, like the entire time. I was sitting there watching that movie, and I was like, dude, that's Ringo. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. He had the sideburns and the big swoop hair.
Oh, they did him dirty. I thought he was really cute until that very last scene where he shows up to the ball and his hair is slicked back, and all of a sudden he has these nasty fucking mutton chop sideburns. So I'm like, where the fuck did those come from? Like, his greasy hair was covering them for the first, hour and 45 minutes of this movie, and I wish it had stayed that way, because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it was like, it's a bummer to me because they gave him hobbies. He had a job. He was doing her favors. He was in a band. Like, he was way more of a well-developed character than most romantic interests in 90% of movies are. But then I just, like, the whole thing between them just didn't really have enough time to, like, become anything. But I was like, damn, he's actually, like, has a little bit of substance, which we don't see a ton from, like, the boyfriend role.
I always really liked, just watching this, I remembered, there's that scene where you really first are you're first introduced to him as a character, and he's in this auto body garage and his band is playing or practicing or something like that, and he's got M&Ms on his keyboard, and as a kid I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. And even watching it now as a full 22-year-old, I was like, that's sick. That's really sick.
Right, and I will say I'll be able to forgive the unnecessary romantic subplot for the M&Ms on the keyboard, and then she apologizes to him by ordering him a pizza with the words "I'm sorry" spelled out in M&Ms on the pizza, because that's, like, his thing. I thought that was a nice little detail. Yeah, I thought it was really good. But that scene, that is peak cinematography. Right? Nobody has done it better since.
I swear to God. No. Oscar snub for the cinematography on this movie.
For that one scene alone. But, like, they made him a car guy, they made him a music guy, they made him the best friend's brother. They were just employing a lot of, like, tropes here. I think they were maybe trying to do a little too much.
I didn't hate it. He had, like you said, he had hobbies. I like it when they give him some substance.
But, like, that's what I was saying about, like, The Bachelor. They're always, like, just talking about, like, really surface level stuff. I'm like, you got hobbies? Like, all your bio says that you do software sales. Like, I don't know. Do you, like, go bowling? Like, please tell me one fact about yourself.
Yeah, right.
But I will say that it was nice, that last scene where he shows up to the ball and then they kiss and it's really nice. And then she's like, why me? Or, like, he's like, why me? Like, why do you like me? Like, you're a princess and I'm literally just some guy. And she's like, you saw me when no one else did or whatever. Which is really cute and nice and a great sentiment. But is that fucking true? Because he just seemed to be the best friend older brother role literally until she got hot, and then he was, like, ogling over her.
No, I think he was, because
but he never, like, asked her out. I mean, he was, like, nice to her, but, like, was that really a thing?
No, because you saw it, like, before she, like, they, like, gave her a makeover and all that stuff. He was, like, she was, like, talking about her car and everything like that, and how it was going to cost a lot of money, and the owner of the car, I mean, the auto body place, was like, oh, yeah.
He was like, I'll do it for free. Or whatever. That could have just been him being nice. I don't know. But I mean, he never was, like...
I think it was... I don't think it was executed that well, but I think it was a little bit implied. You know what I mean? So I can see what your gripe is with it.
Yeah, I don't know. But I still think it's nice, and it's a lot better, more positive of a romantic message than a lot of movies send. So I guess that's just me being nitpicky. But as somebody who has fully seen and loves and knows the second movie, all I can think is, I'm like, step aside, buddy. Chris Pine's about to show the fuck up.
Oh my god.
I'm like, you're in the minor leagues, and she's about to go major. So like, don't even. You can have your little kiss in the courtyard, and it'll be nice, but you gotta get the fuck out of here,
throw in the towel. It's not for you. Wasn't meant to be. One of my favorite things about this movie was just all of the little, like, details, especially in, like, the high school scenes almost. The one thing that I really loved was, like, all of the announcements, like, that they were doing, while it's, like, she's, like, getting to school or anything like that, and, like, the one quote that really, like, stuck with me and that I thought was so funny was that they had a feng shui club, and they were like, can they, like, over the microphone, they're like, can the feng shui club please stop rearranging the tables in the courtyard?
Yes, so good.
I think there's a lot of charm in, like, this movie for, like, those little nuances like that.
Absolutely, and especially I think the San Francisco setting, I think, is just great. I know they originally wanted to make this movie set in New York City, and the title was something like The Princess of Manhattan, or like that's definitely not it, but it was some sort of thing like that that was in the work, but then they decided, they're like, no, like, let's not do the New York City thing, because that's just, like, too, I don't know, not relatable to kids or whatever, overdone, yada, yada, yada. So then they put it in San Francisco, and I think her riding around on her little scooter around the hills of San Francisco, I think it's just, so like, cute. Fun to watch. Her mom's fucking apartment.
Don't get me started. That's the first thing that I have written on my notes for this, is that I said, sick house.
Right? It's like an old firehouse, so they have the pole in it. Her mom is like a fucking freelance artist. I'm like, bitch, you didn't realize that your estranged father was some kind of, like, big wig guy sending money to your fucking mom, because she is a freelance artist in San Francisco, and she can afford this fucking beautiful refurbished firehouse loft apartment that's just, like, decked the fuck out with her personal art. She said, she has a line at one point, she's like, oh, maybe if my mom sells one of her paintings, she can, like, help me buy a car or something like that. I'm like, so your mom, like, isn't actively employed, and you go to a private school, and you live in a fucking dope house. I'm like, how do you not know that your dad is, like, bankrolling some shit?
Yeah, good question.
I don't know.
Couldn't say.
But also that scene, so their house is so fucking cool. Her mom is so fucking cool. I love that she, like, works at a rock climbing gym. That, like, her and her mom, like, fucking rock climb together. Again, just everybody has hobbies, everybody has a personality, everyone has, like, interests that are at least touched on, and I like that we get that certain level of depth to every character. Lily wants to save the otters. She has an otter-shaped backpack.
Love it. I want that bag.
The little things like that is what, really does it for me in this movie. Because then you really feel like
everything feels
kind of pick your favorites. Yeah,
and everything just feels fleshed out, which I feel like you don't get with, like, the Disney Channel movies kind of thing. But every character is pretty well-rounded. Even, like,
Mandy Moore.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. That was a jump
Mandy
scare.
Moore as the blonde mean girl. So weird, but it's like she has her posse, and they, like, even them, you feel like you get to know them.
Joe, even the Queen's assistant, Charlotte, who doesn't get enough credit.
Yes.
But even her, like, you get to really know all of these characters, which I think is one of the more, like, endearing things about this film. I don't know that I can call it a film, but...
Even fucking Sandra Oh. Sandra Oh has all of maybe 3 minutes of screen time, and she fucking steals the show. Like,
I was watching, she did, like, a walkthrough for, I don't know, it wasn't, like, Vogue or something like that, but one of those big, like, publications. She did, like, a walkthrough of her, movies, like, for a timeline on, like, some big YouTube video recently, and I watched it, and I was sitting there, I was like, where the fuck is the Princess Diaries on this? She's, like, all of her breakout roles and stuff like that, and, like, Grey's Anatomy and things like
Grey's
that.
Anatomy who?
No.
Christina Yang who? Talk about fucking Vice Principal Gupta, please.
No, you're so right, though. She is a scene stealer in this, and I love that for her.
I also just, like, love the absolute epitome of, like, quirky best friend trope here. Like, she has 87 butterfly clips in her hair. She's carrying around an otter backpack. She just, like, her mannerisms, like, you thought that Mia was, like, kind of quirky and weird. No. Like, her friend is fucking weird. Like, I was a Lily as a kid, so, like, I am not the main character in my own story. I am absolutely the sidekick. Like, I always really relate to, like, no, I'm not Ariel, I'm Flounder. Like, that's just my truth. And so I, as a kid, always really liked Lily, because that's kind of who I'm more related to. And I just love, like, yeah, she has a shitty cable TV show that nobody cares about.
That feels like us.
She, like,
I was watching this. Yeah. I was like, wow, we're kind of Lily in this.
Yeah, right. She's like 3 people. She's like, it only reaches 20 people, and like only 2 people tune in. And I was like, ooh, relatable.
That's bad though, because I don't think we mentioned it. I was gonna buy champagne for this occasion, but like last week we hit 20,000 downloads. So quick,
yeah, which is fucking cool. You guys,
quick thank you to anyone who has ever tuned in.
Right? Even in any capacity. If you just listened to the first 30 seconds of the theme song and then you left, that we still get numbers for that. So fucking thanks. You're not listening now, but shouts out. Also, shout out to everyone in Ohio. I know I said this a couple of weeks ago. We poll the highest in Ohio, and I think I've verbally assaulted the state of Ohio, like, maybe a couple times on this podcast before. So I'm glad that y'all are willing to look past my personal biases to continue to be fans. I know I just sent some merch out to Ohio, like, literally 2 days ago. So y'all are cool. Shouts out to all our Ohioans.
Shout out to
listeners.
Anyone that's literally not in the US listening. Like, we have a lot of people in the UK that listen to us, and I always think that's the most wild thing when we have, like, some of our biggest numbers are, like, from the UK and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, I'm just a stupid little American.
Right? Right. Recently, so I'm in grad school, which is, like, I don't know why I'm doing that, but we have a LinkedIn for the Swamp, and all of my professors recently connected with me on LinkedIn and have now discovered that I, like, have this podcast, so they've been, like, asking me about it, and I really don't, like, I, like, try to use the best words possible. I'm like, first of all, do not listen. Second of all, it is not classy, educational, smart, or professional in any capacity. Like, it's literally me talking about, like, me wanting Sigourney Weaver to stomp on my head and, like, you yelling swear words, like, while I'm a little bit drunk, talking about Disney Channel original movies. I'm like, how do I tell these professors that, like, no, this is not something I'm putting on my resume? Like,
you're not? I am. But, anyways.
But yeah, thanks to everyone who listens, downloads, interacts with our content on literally any, like, emails, fucking merch, buying our merch online, commenting, watching our TikToks. Like, literally, if you do any of that, you are awesome, and you're the reason why we I mean, I think we would have kept doing this, but when we started it, we were literally like, oh, this will be a fun thing we do for, like, a little bit, and now it's like, we do it every fucking week because we know people are tuning in, and it's, like, keeps us accountable a little bit, so,
yeah.
Thank
really
y'all, you fucking rock.
Glad you like us.
Okay, but speaking of hair, so Lily's hair is fucking amazing, but also, how did they get Mia's hair to stay straight?
Great question.
Because you can get a perm, but not like that. You can perm your hair straight if it's curly, but not
really?
Not like that, girl. Like, it doesn't. I really don't know. I don't know enough about it to say, but you can chemical treat your hair to try to get it to be a certain texture.
I've seen.
I guess Julie Andrews does have that big Genovian embassy money, and she could pay for the top tier hair treatment for Mia, because no curly hair bitch would ever be the princess.
I think I know 1 or 2 people that have, like, treated their hair, like, that intensely, and it actually does kind of work like that. But no, you are correct that they did a lot of work on her hair.
And also, they, like, taught her makeup skills. Like, before this, she was, like, just not barefaced, just chilling, being 15, living her normal 15-year-old life. And now they're like, you do wear concealer, lip liner, like, full Hollywood beat face to high school.
You are waking up an hour early, at least. to put this on.
Also, when she's like she's trying to tuck her like new straight hair up into that ugly fucking hat, and I'm like, girl, you look like a drag queen. Like your face is beat with makeup right now, and you're not wearing your glasses. Like, how do you don't think just because your hair is tucked away, you don't think people are gonna notice that you look like an entire different person?
Yeah. Like, nice.
That was my gripe
Mia.
with the makeover.
Nice try.
Oh my god, and that scene where they're like, hats aren't allowed, and she takes off the hat, and everyone's like, oh my god, you're fucking hot now?
Right. They're like, wow, you're such a poser. You're hot.
And then Lily goes, I think it's cool, and I'd rather learn about Voltaire than hair.
She's a real one. As much as, like, there are definitely times where Lily sucks in this, but I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, Lily.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know when I was reading online, a lot of people are like, Lily is a horrible friend, she's a shit friend, she's garbage. And I agree that at points she is. But if my quote-unquote best friend was like escaping off, got a makeover, all of a sudden had a driver and like wasn't telling me, I would also be fucking pissed. Like, Mia is not giving Lily even an ounce of information. She's just completely blowing off all of her questions. And Lily's kind of like has valid, she's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, please tell me. So I kind of understand her, like, being pissed. I would also fucking be pissed.
I totally agree with you there as well. But one thing I really liked about this movie, at least I felt really seen with this movie, is when it's, like, one of the first instances that you get to see and, meet the main character, Mia. And it's her in debate class. And she's literally, like, trying to, like, first of all, debate class, crazy. But anyways, where she literally gets up there and she has to leave the room before she public speaks while she public speaks. She's like, I'm going to vomit. And I was like, yep, I feel seen.
But even, like, I did love we mentioned, like, just the, like, little details and the attention that I think they put into the little things for this movie. Even though it is a silly movie for 9-year-old girls or whatever, I do think they set things up the right way. Like, even having that little 3-minute scene about her being bad at public speaking comes back around at the end where she has to make her big speech in front of all the, like, Genovian royals. And she's like, I'm not a good public speaker. In fact, sometimes I cry, faint, or vomit. And everyone's like, whoa. And she's like, but, like, not today. I am a grown person. And just, like little things like that, I really do think have a lot of, like, good payoff in this movie.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It was really...
Because that speech at the end fucking gets me.
Really well thought out. This movie was super well done.
And the fact the movie, too, just as good... We don't get that.
Never happens.
Rarely in life does that happen.
Have you heard, like, all of the rumors that they're making a third one?
The 3?
I'll die.
Yeah, supposedly... So I think it was, December of 2020, which was, like, peak quarantine, so I don't know who the fuck was interviewing Anne Hathaway at that time, but I guess around that time in an interview for some magazine, she supposedly confirmed that one is in the works. She said, I guess, but then I guess using that information, somebody else in an interview with Julie Andrews was like, oh, so what about Princess Diaries 3? And she's like, I haven't seen anything. She's like, I haven't gotten a script, so I don't fucking know. I'm sure she didn't say it like that, but I'm sure she was much more eloquent
posh about it.
But I guess in a more recent interview, Julie Andrews has been like, they haven't said anything to me about it, so I do think it is all a lot of rumors and speculation. But according to Annie Hathaway, there's a Princess Diaries 3. I
trust her. I trust Miss Annie Hathaway. So I hope
she can simply do no wrong. That's another like movie that's like gonna be pandering to people in our generation, and I will fully go see it. Like, I will pay the $35 on Disney Plus to watch Princess Diaries 3. Like, they've got me. I know I'm being pandered to, and I don't give a shit.
Just take my money. Give me some more content.
Especially if her and Chris Pine are in a happy, healthy marriage. Movie 3, I'd love for that.
I could bust, I think, if that happened.
That was actually, like, his straight up, like, first, like, big paid movie.
Really?
I think he had maybe been in, like, an independent small film or something, like, a couple of times before, so he had, like, dipped his toes into acting, but Princess Diaries 2 was fully the world's introduction to Chris Pine.
I fucking love that, actually. Huh.
And so Princess Diaries 1 was the world's introduction to Anne Hathaway for the most part. So I think these movies really gave us a couple of gems.
Yeah, for sure.
In the ways of, I mean, obviously Julie Andrews was well established. Also, did you know that this movie is produced by Whitney Houston?
What? No.
Yeah, Whitney Houston fully produced this movie.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of her, like, on set.
Thank God.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Huh.
Yeah, she's great. There's not too much info to that other than, like, a couple of times she, like, showed up to set and was like, yeah, I think she mostly just bankrolled the whole thing.
Fine with me.
We love Whitney.
Yeah, God bless Whitney Houston. Without her, I wouldn't have this movie. Or absolute bangers.
But also, fucking Julie Andrews in this movie, so she's just, like, she's born to play, like, a fucking queen. Like, she just embodies, it's so good, and just the way she carries herself, and the way she speaks, and everything, just, like, royal, elegant, so it's so good, and I love the dynamic between her and Mia, because Mia's kind of, like, goofy and awkward, and, like, she doesn't really get her a lot of the time. And, like, I love that assistant who kind of has to, like, translate a lot of what Mia's saying. She's like, yeah, like, she's being a stupid teenager. Like, she's not trying to be disrespectful. Yeah, and the Julie Andrews and Joe, just, like, all of her entanglements with everyone she talks to, even when they're at the dinner, the way she's talking to the two people on either side of her, like the really chatty guy on the right in the kilt and then the really quiet guy on the right, just like even that little interactions, so good.
Yeah, I'd say this movie was perfectly cast, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But I think so. I guess they never really say that she's shy, but Mia definitely is established as being like a little awkward, definitely doesn't like public speaking, bad at sports, kind of like gangly, whatever. But the way she fucking marches up into the Genovian embassy and sasses the fuck out of Julie Andrews day after day, she's always like, you want me to do what? And she's like standing behind her, like mocking her and making faces. And I'm like, girl, you are acting like a fool right now. Like you are fully confidently like trying to roast a fucking queen right now. What do you mean you don't have the confidence to give a speech to your fucking debate class? Like you're up here in the embassies just like acting like you own the place. I mean, not that she's acting like she owns the place, but she is talking back.
I love it.
To everything Julie Andrews says. She's like, you want me to do what now? Are you joking? Is this for real? And I'm like, what? I fully would have been like, yes, ma'am. And what else?
Yeah, right? Julie Andrews tells me to jump, and I'm being like, how high kind of thing.
How high?
Yeah. No, I love it, though. Their dynamic is great, and I do really love that scene where after Mia thinks, like, the first dinner she had went so badly, Julie was like, no, dude, that's kind of how mine went. Like, let's have a fun girls' day out. I love that scene so much. I think it's so sweet.
When Julie Andrews says, I'm starting to feel that hot dog, I lost my fucking mind. I'm like, I cannot believe they paid this woman enough money to say that statement. And when she fucking, what is it called when you, like, abuse your power as, like, a high-level politician?
Not sure, but I know what you mean.
Not, like, bribery, per se, but, like, she, like, literally uses, like, royal swindling to get them out of a fucking, like, parking ticket. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna knight you, this policeman and the bus driver, as, like, Genovian royals. And they're like, sounds great, Julie Andrews, you're off the hook. And I was like, this is not setting a good example for Mia. Also, why are you letting her drive without a license? Who is just letting her peruse around San Francisco in this fucking Cadillac? What kind of car is that? A Mustang?
Something like that.
I don't know. She's really into this car considering she can't fucking drive it. She's like, this is my baby. This car is my pride and joy. I'm like, girl, you don't have to go to the DMV, please. Get your permit.
Yeah. One step at a time, bestie. But
no, I think that's probably one of the best scenes in this whole movie, though. It's just that little, like, montage of them, like, doing normal things, and you realize that Julie Andrews maybe isn't so uptight after all.
I love them at the arcade when she's playing that, like, arm wrestling game. I always thought that was so fun. All right. Should we dip into our regularly scheduled programming?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So, like you said, the minute we hopped on FaceTime to do this, you said, this is gonna be tough. Fuck, marry, kill is gonna be fucking hard. I think every week we say, we're like, this is the hardest one yet.
We always outdo ourselves.
Like, every time we're like, damn, we just watched so many movies with hot, cool, and fuckable people.
It's my kind of movie.
I guess we're gonna count out Mia, because she's 15, so who would we say the three main characters of age are? Julie Andrews, Joe, and Mia's mom?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like, as far as screen time? As far as adults with screen time? I don't know.
Yeah, that's really hard. This is a very hard lineup. Because I love Julie Andrews. But I don't think I could marry her. And at the same time, I have to fuck Mia's mom. Because she's an absolute MILF. I think one of the first things I said when I started watching this was like, wow, I don't remember her being a MILF like this.
Right, and also, like, again, cool and has hobbies, like, does balloon art, rock climbs, just generally overall seems approachable and cool. They didn't have to go so hard on making this mom so rad.
Yeah. So, like, unfortunately, my ideal situation would be that I get into Joe and the Queen's relationship, but that's not gonna happen, so
They seem a little uptight.
I'm gonna have to kill the Queen, unfortunately.
Stirring the pot.
And then I'm gonna have
in their Genovian royal family.
Give Mia the crown now. But then I'll have to fuck Mia's mom and marry Joe, of course.
Yeah, I think pretty similarly to you. I'm just gonna flip-flop. I'm gonna fuck Joe. I'm gonna marry Mia's mom because I just want to live in that dope house and
absolutely
just like have her inheritance to like not have a job and just like do cool paintings all day. That sounds like fucking lit life. Also, Fat Louie is my king.
Love him.
And I'm gonna want him to be around for
True
sure.
enough.
And yeah, I want to slide up and down that fire pole.
Right.
So, yes, and I'm gonna fuck Joe because he is a smooth motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna kill the Queen, because, again, I couldn't handle Julie Andrews in either of those capacities, so I simply must murder her.
But, I mean, if we're talking the entire movie, this doesn't add, like, a whole lot of people. Like, Charlotte, and then, for me, it's Sandra Oh. That's who the big name ticket for this is, outside of our top three. So I'm gonna have to marry Sandra Oh. It's just a personal thing.
Yeah. It's just a Killing Eve thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about it.
That's like one of those shows when like I don't have anything to watch. I was like, I guess I'll rewatch it. So I'll marry Sandra Oh. And then I'll still fuck Mia's mom.
Yeah, seems about right.
And then kill, because we've opened up the rights to kill children.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kill a high schooler.
Yeah, no, I think I'll kill Mandy Moore, because she is just the worst.
Yeah. She fucking sucks. She just fucking sucks. And I really wanted that one scene where her and her friends are like, after Mia has that kind of embarrassing bad moment with that boy, and she's kind of like, oh, he dumped me and was mean to me too, like, let's girl power, let's team up, but then she fucking turns on her and shit. Like, I wanted that to be a nice... I think there could have been some merit to a scene like that, but I guess it really just shows that, like, haters will be haters.
Yeah.
But I am going to fuck Sandra Oh. Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Simply, it just must be done. I'm going to kill... who am I going to kill? Who kind of sucks in this movie? Honestly, I'm going to have to kill little Jason Schwartzman's younger brother. What's his fucking name?
Really? Michael, yeah.
He's great and everything, but he's gonna kill himself when he finds out that his competition is Chris Pine, and I'm just saving himself from that heartbreak.
That's fair.
So I'll snipe him out, and then this is a little niche. This is a little coming in from a little something something. The Genovian Pear Juggler. at the final scene at the big ball, they're like, welcome to the Genovian pear juggler, and he just fucking juggles pears. And I think that guy has a fucking lit job in the court. He's probably paid like a fucking king. He can juggle. And if I was married to him, I bet I would just be able to fucking chill and be like a, not royal, but like royal adjacent, you know? Because like I don't want to have to like deal with like being proper and everything, but I bet I would still get to attend the events. So I'm gonna marry the Genovian pear juggler.
I think
simply for status alone.
I think that's
seems like the right place that I would fit right in, you know? Not too high, but just high enough.
That's honestly perfect for you. I can see it so clearly. Okay. So what did...
And then... Yeah, what did you eat and drink? You're going through it today, so did you eat and drink anything? You're just, like, pounding shots?
No, I had... and this is honestly what I would recommend, because I went for homey and things that make me feel really cozy and comfortable, just like this movie usually does. So I made a grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Also in the way of fall. What a nice fall dish.
And it was just something I needed, and I would say it aligns with this movie for me. You know what I mean? Like I said, they're both very cozy things. So I would, that's my personal taste. I'd say if you're a big grilled cheese tomato soup person, try it out. And
Absolutely.
then I watched this like midday, so I wasn't drinking. I had lemonade, but I feel like, yeah.
You had a lemonade with your grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Yeah, it was fucked.
That is an acidic meal. Tomato soup with lemonade would give me heartburn for 6 weeks.
I just needed all of the things that I really liked in one place. I don't know, like, what do you put with grilled cheese and tomato soup? Like a juice box?
Yeah.
I don't know, what
glass of milk.
Yeah, right?
Chalky milk.
What I'm drinking now, which I don't know that I would still recommend, but I've been put on to just mixing, it's Sprite and mango Bacardi, and it's really good, and it's really simple, and it's really easy.
Sounds fire.
Which is pretty good, but I don't know. I'm hoping that you have a better suggestion for food and drink, because I did not do anything.
I do. Don't worry, I do.
Yeah,
this isn't
pull the weight today.
So I also watched this in like the middle of the day, so I didn't make myself a feast per se of any sort, but I do think that this is a really food heavy movie. So if you want to do thematically within the movie, first of all, pears. Pears are the national fruit. It seems to be the national everything of Genovia. Yeah. They fucking love pears, and they have this entire like dinner scene where every single meal they're served is like green and has pears on it of some sort. And I don't know if you have to go that hard, but maybe just some sort of like pear based baked good. I also know I put really thinly sliced pears on like a flatbread before, like with like some balsamic and some arugula, like maybe some goat cheese or something. I don't know, if you just look up like pear themed like appetizer things, I bet you could find something good, and pears are like very prominent in this movie. I also think M&Ms or pizza, or M&Ms and pizza, if you want to go a little more cash, very, again, like, used as a plot point in this movie. Also, like, it does make me fucking want M&Ms watching them splash around on that keyboard. I'm like, damn, I just want a handful of M&Ms.
I always want a corn dog.
I was gonna say, and then thirdly, there's a corn dog, because Julie Andrews does consume a corn dog, which might be a little more, like, hard to find, but if you have a reliable corn dog source, I'd say go
I have
for
something
it.
to admit, and I'm not proud of it.
You like corn dogs?
No, I don't think, I'm pretty certain that I've never had a corn dog in all of my 22 years of life.
That's really reasonable. It's not that approachable of a food. It's just a hot dog wrapped in a piece of, like, bread.
It sounds like something I'd want, but...
You can, if you try, if you're a hot dog enjoyer, I would just say that the better version of this is simply a pigs in a blanket.
Yeah.
To me and for me, I would never choose a corn dog, but I would choose a little pig in a blanket.
I think that's a really good substitute. I'd say that would be a good recommendation for this.
Well, like, yeah, a nice little dipping sauce or something. That's what I would think. And then again with the pears, I bet you could find a really easy pear cocktail recipe. Use like pear vodka, pear syrup, something like that. I bet you could make a pear drink.
Yeah.
Which would go quite well with the Genovian theme of it all. And then what would you follow this up with? Just it has to be Princess Diaries.
Yeah,
too.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna try.
I know we try to stray away
Nope.
from it, but it's just
I'm not gonna try and say anything different because that is the only reasonable thing to follow this up with. Because this movie is so fun and it just hits your heart a little bit. You know what I mean? At least for me, it has a special place. Just because I love these movies and I grew up with them, and there's just that nostalgia factor as well. It just has to be the second movie, especially because
I would say
like the first one is good, but like you said, the second one is better, honestly, which never happens.
No, when I finished this, I was like, damn, am I gonna watch the second one right now? And like I didn't because I had shit to do, but I was like, I kind of want to watch Princess Diaries too. I totally think that is just the obvious and right choice, but I think if you want to do something, I'm going to try to come up with a different creative answer just for shits and giggles. I would say either do, the director of this also did Pretty Woman, which is like a very similar story, to be honest. It's like a slightly more adult version of Princess Diaries. It's like rags to riches, she gets the big makeover, she has to like indoctrinate herself into high society, all that. I don't know, very similar vibes, a lot of parallels between the two. So I think you could definitely watch this and then Pretty Woman and have like a little back-to-back, compare contrast moment. And then also the Whitney connection, you do like Whitney Houston produced this movie, so then you watch The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think it's just
that those of you you just have to watch. You just have to watch Princess Diaries too. You simply
like these are if you really don't want to watch the Princess Diaries too, but it's got to be.
These are like I'm just stretching.
Yeah,
I'm just physically stretching. Is that all of our things? We did fuck, marry, kill. We did what would we eat and drink. What would you follow it up with? Oh, what would you rate this movie out of 10? I would give it a 7.
I'm giving it an 8 for a lot of nostalgia factors. But also it's just a really fun movie, and like I said, like a handful of times before, it's really well done in my opinion.
Right, a lot of things I definitely like watching it as an adult. I'd say maybe the last time I watched this movie was like 5 years ago. It's not a regular like yearly beat for me, but it's definitely, it's not like I haven't watched it since I was a child, but watching it I was like, oh yeah, there's like a lot of like nice little moments that I just like picked up now that I was like, yeah, it really adds a lot of depth and substance to this movie.
No, I feel you. I'd say if you're listening to this, go watch The Princess Diaries.
Yeah, right. Especially if you're like in a little bit of a sour mood. This is one that will for sure turn your frown upside down. So, as always, thank you for listening. Be sure to check out our content on social media. All of our links to our TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff will be in the description below. We will be continuing with Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girlboss Month these next 2 weeks of September. We all hope you're having a beautiful transition from summer to fall. If you live in a place with seasons, I guess if you live in like different hemispheres have different like seasonal shifts, right? So maybe in some places it's like winter right now. I don't really know a lot about science, but
I know a lot about Anne Hathaway.
If you're in America, yeah, right. And so I would just say that my homework assignment for you all is to change your ringtone to be the Genovian national anthem, because it is just the right thing to do. And have a great rest of your day, queens and kings and royalty. And most importantly to Fat Louie. 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 Importantly to Fat Louie.